Welcome back, All Sports Western New York. The hockey man, Steve Manson, the publisher of Western New York Hockey Magazine. And Steve, unfortunately, this is a show you predicted we'd be doing over a year ago. Ted Nolan relieved of his duties Sunday by General Manager Tim Murray. You knew this was coming. I think most fans who've been following the team figured this was coming.
Well, and I wish I was wrong, but a year ago, right here on this show, I said that when they signed him to the 3-year deal, that really it was a 1-year deal with a 2-year golden parachute, which is what it turned out to be. Somebody had to pay for this season, and they've thrown Teddy. I don't want to say they threw him under the bus. I mean, the guy's coming out with 2 years of pay and a whole bit, but let's be honest, they gave him very little talent. They set him up to lose. And what was predicted has come true.
And before, and this show will end up being a canonization of Ted Nolan, because you love Ted Nolan, Art Wander loves Ted Nolan, I love Ted Nolan. But I will say this, and you had even said before the year started, you thought this team was going to be better than anybody thought it would be. I thought Ted would do a better job with some of these, the mix of the veterans with the young kids. For whatever reason, this did not, the chemistry wasn't there from the get-go.
Well, let's go back to when it was late November and December, where they went like a 13-game streak there, where they were like 10-2-1, and this organization didn't do a thing to improve the club or to help out with the injuries or anything. They just weren't going to do it. In fact, it seemed like most of them were upset that the team was winning. And if you're going to give, again, canonization's the right word. If you're going to give anybody credit for this year, you got to give Ted Nolan, because right up to that very last game Friday in Columbus, this team competed. They had no talent, very young talent, which, by the way, got better as the season went on. I mean, you look at Gergensen and Ristolainen and Ennis and a few other players who have really started to establish themselves. But to be honest, there wasn't much talent there. But Teddy kept him in the games, kept him competing, kept him coming out every game, drove all the tankers nuts because the Sabres were competing and got great goaltending. Arthur Zerbe certainly deserves what he's getting, a chance to possibly be the goaltending coach, because he did a marvelous job with goaltenders this year. But hey, it was pretty much written in stone what was going to happen, and it happened.
Now, where do you think Ted Nolan's going from here?
I'll be honest, I don't see him getting another NHL job. Let's be honest. He just come off being coach of a team that finished last 2 years in a row. And does he go back to junior, where he's been extremely successful, which is something that really irritates me every time I hear, well, we needed to get a coach that's able to deal with the young players. Well, Ted Nolan's won 2 Memorial Cups, been to the Memorial Cup 4 times with what? Junior players. Happen to be young players. He's excellent at developing young players. But, again, this was written in stone, and it happened.
And unfortunately, and I think you're privy to some of this as well, there are still Ted Nolan detractors, maybe even haters is the right word, within the organization that stem back to the John Muckler days. I mean, some of that never left, and you have to have that buzz in the background. It's not a healthy thing for an organization.
Well, I heard it as far back, and I told you about this, far back in November. I'm not going to say who it was, but I was told by a Sabre staffer that, hey, Ted Nolan's not the coach for this team, the whole bit. And I was astonished, because it's November, and the team was actually winning at the time. And, so, again, it's bad for Ted. I think it's sad, but to me, today is the start of building something. I told you it would take 3 years to make the playoffs. Well, 1 year's in the books. I think next year they'll compete. I think in 2 years they'll be in the playoffs.
Okay, so Saturday is the day that they actually have the lottery.
Right.
And they'll find out who's going to get the draft pick to get Connor McDavid.
Right.
The Sabres have the highest percentage, which is only 20%.
20%.
Arizona has 13.5%, and then it goes down from there. Now, last year they had the highest percentage as well, and they end up getting
But again, you got 80% chance to lose, and lose is the wrong term, because, and I've said this before, Jack Eichel is not a consolation prize. Jack Eichel is another generational talent. So either one of those players they bring in is going to be very good for the Sabres.
Unfortunately, Eichel did not have a banner game in the NCAA championship Saturday night.
No, but he had a banner game in the semifinals, and he had a banner game in the quarterfinals, and he had a banner season, and he got named the Hobie Baker. I mean, Hobie Baker Award, which is the award for the top college player, and he's only a freshman. Okay, I think people forget that he's only a freshman. The fact is, last Friday night, you had McDavid scoring 5 goals down in Erie. You had the Sabres, of course, qualifying for the top pick, or for the first or second pick. You had Jack Eichel being named the Hobie Baker Winner Award. It was all falling into place. And, it is what it is. I was against the tank, but the tank is what went on. They got the pick. Okay, now's the time to move ahead. I just feel it was a wasted year for the development of the young players they have. It was a wasted year for the fans. It was just, why even play this year? And I'm just not a big tanker, because to me that's almost like fixing games. So what's the difference between fixing games and tanking?
Well, there's a lot of speculation as to who Tim Murray is going to try to bring in, and Terry Pugel is going to open up the pocketbook for whoever it is. A lot of talk about Babcock coming from the Red Wings, but Babcock's a guy who wants to have a say.
Very good point.
Tim Murray has just pointed out, I make the calls, the coach coaches the team. And in fact, Sunday he said, he never even conferred with Nolan about who he should bring up for Rochester. Instead, he talked to the Rochester coaches about who he should bring up. That's not going to sit with every coach that comes into the
That won't sit with
session.
Babcock. Now, Babcock is in the playoffs. He won't be eligible to start talking to teams until after the playoffs are over, after he's out, unless Detroit goes a long way. He is the best coach out there. He's probably the best coach in the National Hockey League. Detroit's going to open up the pocketbook to try to re-sign him. Toronto's going to open up the pocketbook. I have a feeling the Sabres are too. But Babcock's not going to come here unless he has control. And if Murray, and these things with him and Nolan and whatever, if Murray's not going to give up control to Babcock, he won't be coming here. In fact, none of the top coaches that have been mentioned, the possibilities, and I would assume over the next day or so there's going to be 3 or 4 more coaches fired, good coaches. They're not coming here if they don't even get discussion with the general manager about what moves to make. It's just not the way it works. So it's going to be an interesting situation.
You think that right now his plan is to wait until all the playoffs are over before he makes that move, or do you think he's got his guy targeted right now, and as soon as he becomes eligible, he's going to make a run?
Well, I think there's both. If let's say Detroit goes out quickly in the playoffs and he gets onto the market, well, you're going to have to move fast, because there's going to be a lot of teams going after him. Another, like I said, a couple more coaches, maybe 3 or 4 of them will be fired today and tomorrow. Todd McClellan out there in San Jose is rumored to be gone. He's an excellent coach. A couple more. Claude Julien could get the axe in Boston. So you may have to move on one of these guys, because every time somebody gets fired, it's another opening.
Right, another
and teams are going to be moving.
And to not give people the wrong reason, you like Tim Murray and his ability to judge talent.
Yes, I do. I think he's an excellent talent evaluator. I just feel that this situation, maybe it was something that he didn't create. Okay, we got to go back to the LaFontaine situation. He brought Teddy in. Murray got hired. Murray got Teddy. But then again, Murray signed Teddy to a 3-year deal last spring. That's why I'm pretty sure that everybody knew what was going to happen. And that 2 extra years, that's the golden parachute. That's like...
Nolan's no neophyte. I'm sure he knew exactly what was going to happen.
He knew exactly what was going on.
Steve, always a pleasure.
Robert,
the new edition of West New York Hockey Magazine will be coming out in a couple of weeks.
Yep, and the old edition is still out. A very good one. It has a big story on the draft lottery and some other great features in it.
Yeah, and I added a couple stories which are worth reading.
They certainly are.
Steve Manson, the Hockey Man. Now, don't go anywhere, because Artie Baby Boo Boo, Art Wander, is coming up next. More on the Sabres right after this.